Welcome to the WWE Podcast, your place for the most passionate wrestling analysis on the web.
Just turn Roman heel. What is WWE waiting for?
When other wrestling podcasts put you to sleep, you can count on the WWE Podcast to keep you engaged and asking for more.
I've been watching wrestling for over 20 years, and that was one of the best matches I've ever seen.
If you're easily offended, this may not be the show for you.
Whatever happened to the men being able to physically retaliate against the women in WWE? This is a fantasy environment.
This is unlike any other wrestling analysis. So without any further delay, let's get the show started right now.
Hey guys, welcome to the show. This is the WWE Podcast. Thanks once again for joining me. It is Tuesday, March 5th, 2019. And Fastlane is this Sunday. WrestleMania is, 33 days away. Things are getting crazy in the wrestling world. On Twitter, on TV, just everywhere. There's so much going on, and I am going to try to keep the rants to a minimum, but I can't promise anything today, as there are things going on that are just really making me as a wrestling fan cringe. Making me cringe, but also appreciating what they're trying to do. And it's getting weird. Things are getting weird as a wrestling fan. You know that if you go out sometimes with friends and things are going great in the night and you're having some drinks and then you have maybe one too many, your friends has one too many, and then things just get weird. And that can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. And this is a PG show, so use your imagination, but I feel like things are getting weird as a wrestling fan. And it's the road to WrestleMania, but this is one of the strangest roads to WrestleMania I've ever seen. And I don't know what to say about some of these things. And it's not necessarily that I hate what's going on. I don't. It's just weird. There's no other way to put this. And so we're going to get to that on multiple fronts. This is not just one storyline that is weird to me. It's multiple. And we're going to get to that very shortly. But again, I want to set the table here. Thank you for joining me. This is the WWE Podcast. No official affiliation with WWE. I just want to put that out there, as I had some people think that I am actually a part of WWE. I am not. I have no official connection with the actual organization. So there's a disclaimer. And so anyway, thank you once again. This is a bi-weekly show where I discuss Raw and SmackDown. As we speak, SmackDown is about an hour-ish away from going live, and I'll be very interested to see how that show plays out as the final show before Fastlane this Sunday, which is going to be, I think, one of the most interesting shows that WWE has had in a while, because it is going to be a telltale sign of what WrestleMania is going to be. And so, a lot to get to. My predictions, maybe a couple of rants, whether you hate them or love them. I can't promise anything. When I prepare for these shows, I don't have a script. I really don't. I have bullet points. Sometimes I have nothing. And it's just a single thing that I latch onto and rant about. So this is not a show in which I have a pre-written script. Right now I have 5 bullets in front of me, with some sub-bullets, and so that is how the show is structured. For better or worse, that's just how it is. And by the way, guys, before I get into the show of Monday Night Raw and my predictions, and maybe some other stuff, I'd really recommend and encourage you to go check out my previous show. It was with a fan that has been watching WWE for only 6 months. Really cool to hear his perspective on such a new fan, because they're so innocent, right? I mean, they're not broken in yet. They have a fresh new look at the product with a fresh new set of eyes, and it's very interesting to see what catches their attention, what keeps them coming back, and what they're looking forward to. And it's really, really cool to hear and see that. And so that is something that is available my previous show. The show's over an hour. Very rarely do I have a show over an hour, but this one I'd really encourage you to take a listen to, and that is available everywhere: Spotify, Spreaker, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, iHeartRadio. Everywhere you have audio, I can almost guarantee that this show is there. So, I'm going to take a deep breath. You guys take a deep breath. I'm going to take a quick commercial break for the sponsor of the show. And then, on the other side, buckle up, strap in, and get ready for some WWE analysis that is going to be, I think, very passionate. So, all right, guys. On the other side, we're going to get all to that right after this. All right, guys, we'll get to the wrestling talk in just a minute. But before I do, I just want to talk about something that is also a passion of mine, and that's working out. And whether you're a novice or you have been working out for years and you feel you're somewhat of a veteran, pre-workout is extremely important. And for me, I only look for the best. And I've sampled a lot of pre-workout products, and I really have to tell you that NioLabs.com has some of the best pre-workout on the market. It's the cleanest pre-workout on the market. There's no tolerance buildup. There's no crash. It gives you an awesome pump with high energy. And if you're vegan, guess what? It is vegan friendly. The ingredients are NCAA compliant. There's no fillers, no crap. You won't need to take a bathroom break in the middle of your workout. Trust me, I've had those products that do that. This is not one of them. They also don't charge for shipping for U.S. orders. So check out NioLabs.com. That's N-A-I-O Labs.com. That's N-A-I-O Labs.com. And on Instagram, they're just NioLabs. So check them out there as well. And for being a listener of the show, we're going to give you 10% off every order that you have. Just use the promo code MATT2019. That's Matt, M-A-T-T, 2019. And you'll get 10% off of every order. Trust me, guys. Check out NioLabs.com. That's N-A-I-O Labs.com. You'll get 10% off of every order, and you will have the best pre-workout on the planet. Okay, guys, welcome back. And thank you once again for joining me. You can get an ad-free experience, by the way, at www. Do people say www still? I think that's just an old habit. Wow, that was like muscle memory. All right, we don't do www anymore. It's just patreon.com/WWE podcast. There we go. Jeez. I feel like I should be on dial-up AOL or something after that brain malfunction. Patreon.com/WWE podcast. And you get an ad-free experience of the show, as well as exclusive audio and a shout-out on the show, and get on the show. And I had as I said in my previous show, I had a patron on the show last week discussing his view, a very brand-new view on WWE. So go check that out, and I encourage you, everybody, to check me out on patreon.com/WWE podcast. And you can also get a link directly there from my Twitter, by the way, at the WWE podcast on Twitter. So pretty straightforward. Everything's pretty consistent, and hope you enjoy it. So, I just finished up Monday Night Raw. As you guys know, I'm a Hulu version watcher of the show, and I fill in the blanks with the rest of the Raw show by reading it. And overall, I would say that Raw did its job in a very weird way. Weird is going to be a word that I use frequently here because I have no other adjective to describe what I watched. And I guess I don't know how to process it yet, and maybe that's for the best, because I really don't know. I'm just going to start with Ronda Rousey, because that's the last thing I watched on Monday Night Raw. She comes out there in full mean girl mode. Apparently she didn't show up to the arena until 10:55 at night, and is seen walking through the parking lot like she's a woman on a mission. Which, we've overlooked that for years and years with Stone Cold back in the day arriving late, Vince McMahon showing up just to do a dramatic entrance at 5 minutes before Raw closes off the air. I get all of that. So, I mean, this is one of those things, I guess, as a longtime watcher of WWE, that are these people really still just showing up to the arena 3 hours late to their job? Or maybe they were just taking a quick going out to a bite to eat and coming back. I don't know. But that's just the logic part of my brain I need to shut off when I watch WWE. But Ronda comes in, all business, storming into the arena, cuts a promo on Steph saying she's not Mrs. Nice Bitch anymore, and just destroys Charlotte, and furthermore demolishes Becky Lynch, turns heel. And here's the part I like. I like this part of WWE not going against the grain of what is going to happen to Ronda at WrestleMania, and that is the inevitable shower of boos that Ronda Rousey would have gotten, whether it's triple threat or not. And oh, don't worry, we'll get to my reaction on the triple threat that is inevitably happening. And you have WWE going with the flow. So props to WWE for that. Ronda turned heel, attacking the audience, saying, "You booed me out of my hometown in LA at the Staples Center." And she's not anybody's puppet anymore. And she's remembers who she is. And she said that she could break both of their noses by just sneezing their way. Ronda didn't go off the rails as much as she did last week. When she's focused, she scares the hell out of me, and that's a compliment. Ronda Rousey exceeded expectations, just as she said, from her debut forward. I've got nothing to complain about really in this segment. I applaud WWE, applaud the hell out of them for turning Ronda heel here. Awesome, love it. You have Ronda Rousey thinking she's above WWE. That's what I want. I have been very curious about a Ronda heel turn, and we're getting it a lot sooner than I thought. I thought they would go full Roman Reigns here and have her just fight the good fight and be the upstanding champion and just suck it up and deal with the boos that she would have gotten destroyed with at WrestleMania. But instead, they are saying, no, you know what? Let's just go with the flow. You guys want her heel, and we know that nobody's going to be cheered against Becky. Then the hell with it. We're going to turn her heel, let her loose, and look how beautiful it is. It's a masterpiece right now. I'm loving Ronda Rousey heel. Loving it. I've got nothing but praise for WWE and the balls to do it. I did not think they would do it this soon. Maybe it's an indication she's leaving after Mania. Maybe it's not. You could read it both ways. Either way, awesome job by WWE for pulling the trigger. Now, with that being said, you have Becky versus Charlotte at Fastlane. If anybody believes that Becky's not going to win that match, you just haven't been watching wrestling, even for a month. I mean, really, Becky Lynch has to win this match. She will win this match, whether it's by disqualification or not. Becky will win this match. Has to. It just doesn't make sense otherwise. And we will get the triple threat that I have been dreading for months now of Becky versus Ronda versus Charlotte. And I get the story. I understand that from a wrestling perspective, this match will be, I think, better than one-on-one with Ronda and Becky. I get all of that. I understand that. But it sometimes isn't all about the amazing kickouts and incredible near falls. It is sometimes about the damn story of one-on-one. Who is the better man? Or in this case, who is the better woman? Becky or Ronda? And we've seen Charlotte and Ronda one-on-one. We have never seen Becky and Ronda one-on-one. And every time Becky Lynch gets a match for the championship, Charlotte has to stick her nose in it. And I mean, management has to have Charlotte stick her nose in it. Look at what happened at SummerSlam. It was Carmella versus Becky Lynch, and Charlotte ended up squeaking her way in, inevitably leaving the hottest babyface in the company, quote, turned heel at the time. I don't understand the reasoning for this. Storyline-wise, yes, it makes sense. I'm not arguing the logic that this doesn't make sense to have Charlotte there. It does. It makes perfect sense. There's nothing being forced here. But when you have a good story and a great story, I'm going with the great story. And the great story is here, Ronda and Becky. End of subject. Period. And they have said, nope. We're having Charlotte be put in this match because it'll be a better match. Well, you know what? I'm willing to sacrifice a better match for a better story. And to me, the better story is one-on-one, Becky and Ronda, period. WWE, I don't know why they have to make this so complicated of Vince coming out and adding Charlotte and Stephanie and Hunter somehow inexplicably not firing Ronda or firing Becky for the slaps that she gave them, and all they wanted was an apology, and she's back in. But then, Vince McMahon comes back and reverses the decision to put a 60-day suspension. What's the need for this? This is a very straightforward, heated rivalry that has been building for months and months and months, and we can't just get the one-on-one. We always have to have that stupid-ass triple threat. I don't see the need for it. At least when you have a better option, and the better option is one-on-one. Maybe WWE does not fully trust Ronda to handle the main event of WrestleMania. Maybe they're concerned about her in-ring limitations, and at this point, she should have limitations. And she does, and rightfully so. That's not a knock on Ronda. I think she's done brilliantly since she's been here. Brilliantly. For how little time she has trained to be in WWE. Her promo skills, yes, she had UFC background, but that's a whole other animal. So, now, I don't hate it, but when there's a better option, I like the better option. It's like, hey, do you want $1,000? Do you want $500? It's a no-brainer. To me, at least, that's how I view it. So then you have this other aspect of this offline Twitter battle between Becky and Ronda. And this is where I appreciate what they're trying to do, and this is one of two storylines that is using this method, at least with this whole realism thing. And I get that I have been clamoring for things to feel real and be invested in characters forever. That's how you care. That's what draws money. That's what makes people buy the network. That's what makes things interesting and glued to the TV, and you get lost in the moment, all of that. And it's an escape from reality. But here's what's happening on Twitter. If you guys haven't been following Ronda and Becky's back and forth nonsense, go check it out, but with caution. I mean, really. What they've been going back and forth about is insulting each other, but in a way that's outside of the WWE narrative to try to make it more real. And I think Ronda took it over the limit here when she said, "I don't care if it's in the script. Next time I see you, I'm beating the you know what out of you." Don't reference the script. Don't do it. It's like when one of the co-hosts of the Saturday Night Live, I don't know, something. I've never seen either one of them on Monday Night Raw. When he asked Braun Strowman, "So is this stuff real?" You don't do that. I understand the curtain's been pulled back. We all know it's a work. But you don't mention script. You don't do it. You don't say, "Is this real?" You don't do it. That's taking it too far. That's cringe-worthy. I'm sorry. I know Braun Strowman lifted him up. But don't do that. That is just cannibalizing your own product. I'm sorry. But Ronda on Twitter is, I know they're trying to make it real. I know they're trying to sell tickets and make it feel like this is a real rivalry. I get it. But don't say script. There should be certain words banned from their use when trying to promote a wrestling storyline or a match. And that's fake, which they use that as well. Script, real, just certain words should be banned. And Ronda was a culprit to all of the above, and I didn't like it. And I mean, I know that's Twitter and that's a different universe, but I said this out on my Twitter feed that if management is filtering through these, I'm sure that they did not give their stamp of approval on about 90% of them. Go look on Ronda's tweets and her replies specifically to Becky. It's not flattering. And those of you that think, well, we all know it's a work, we all know it's fake, wonderful. But do you want, in the middle of a movie, the actors to come out and say, in the middle of the movie, so I don't care what the script says on this movie, I'm going to really kick your ass? No, of course not. The same applies to wrestling. The same logic applies to wrestling. I don't want the actors to acknowledge this is a work. Don't do it, please. I know you're trying to make it real. You don't make it real by acknowledging what you're doing on a weekly basis is fake. Please. That hurts my soul as a wrestling fan. I'm all for making things real. I'm all for emotional investment. You don't go there, though. There's a million other ways to do it. You don't go there. So that's how I feel about that, and I don't think one-on-one's happening. And the fact that if Ronda or Becky, man, I'm getting all three mixed up because I'm all thinking about all three all the time. Anytime I say the women's division. But if Charlotte loses at Fastlane, she's still in the main event, but Becky gets added if she wins. Why shouldn't it be winner take all? Why shouldn't it be winner take all? So Charlotte is really win-win. I mean, she could lose the match and still be in the main event. And she's not the champion, so what does she care? I mean, really, it's a win-win for Charlotte. And what's the point of Becky Lynch winning the Royal Rumble if it's never going to be a one-on-one? I'm just flabbergasted by this whole thing. You want to do a triple threat? Do it at a different pay-per-view. I'm all for the triple threat. Not at WrestleMania. Please. Please. I know Vince McMahon is obsessed with Charlotte and her look and having her be part of the main event. I get it. Not here. All right, moving on to another, quote, real story, and that's Batista and Triple H. I have not listened to any other wrestling podcasts prior to coming on here, and sometimes that's a good thing because oftentimes I will listen to other wrestling podcasts, and it sometimes sways my thoughts and opinions. And coming in clean with no preconceived notion of anybody else's opinion on this, I will say that overall, I enjoyed Triple H's promo. I did. This guy is such a gifted talker, and I know people have mocked him for years about the way that he delivers his promo, and it's very drawn out, and he enunciates at different times and kind of I don't know, lingers on his words, and I'm the game, like kind of has a very distinct promo voice. Get it. But this guy's a master on the mic. There's no denying that. And he brought me into this story. And I know that I was down on this story from the rumor get-go months ago. I was, admittedly, no question. But I said they could sell me on promos and video packages and a good story because there's a lot to draw from. These guys have a hell of a history. No doubt about it. These guys have an awesome history. And then that is totally cool. And I'm all for this story, and I will be, you know what, probably semi-excited for this match because it pulls from my nostalgia days. And those of you that haven't seen any Batista Triple H matches, go YouTube them, go Netflix them, or Netflix, WWE Network them, all of that. It's worth, I think, a look back at the history of these two. Absolutely, from Evolution to Batista and Triple H at WrestleMania 21, where Batista beat Triple H, all of it. I mean, it's good stuff. Is it the most epic storyline? No. But it's, I think, something that they should and better pull from going into WrestleMania. I hope they do. Because there's a lot there. It would be foolish to ignore the storyline between these two. So, you have Triple H, and again, I will praise before I criticize and critique. Triple H sold me. That's the bottom line coming out of this. Triple H sold me. And that's his goal, and he did it. But here's another case of I don't know what's going on lately, but WWE trying to use real names of people and mentioning scripts and saying, having people who have never been in a WWE ring say to Braun Strowman, so is what you guys do real? I mean, this kind of stuff, there's a trend happening here, and it's very uncomfortable. And you have Triple H using Richard Fleer, Ric Flair's real name. And saying that this is not a character speaking and all this. It's uncomfortable. We don't want to see you be a man. It's like having Clark Kent come out there to tell Lex Luger, I'm not going to fight you as Superman, I'm going to fight you as Clark Kent. Well, no. You made your career as Superman. Superman is the one that made the movies. Superman is the one that we all cheer for and root for and have an attachment to. Nobody gives a damn about Clark Kent. So when you have Triple H saying you're not going to fight Triple H, the character, you're going to fight you're going to fight me, the man. I'm surprised he didn't use his real name, Paul Levesque. I'm surprised. I thought I was waiting for Paul Levesque to come off of his lips, and he said you're just going to fight the man. Okay, fine. I mean, I know what they're doing here, but it's uncomfortable. And not uncomfortable in the way that makes me want to see the match more. Uncomfortable in that you can say all this real stuff, but in the end, I know that you said all that stuff to go to the extreme to make me want to believe that this is real, but you went too far. Don't do it. In very rare cases does this work. The only case I remember it working in when CM Punk was talking to Triple H before their match, 6 years ago maybe, and he said to Triple H, this is not CM Punk talking to Triple H, this is Phil Brooks talking to Paul Levesque. He did it, I think, the right way. It was delivered in the right way. It was unexpected. CM Punk was... It was like the summer of Punk that year, back in 2011, 2012, 2013. It was awesome seeing that. And so there's very rare instances where it works, and it's just this trend lately of WWE, and I don't know what's going on, but I don't know. It made me uncomfortable, not in a good way. But it got the job done. Mission accomplished. Just makes me cringe on that stuff. So, the other thing, guys, the Shield is back for a quick reunion against Drew McIntyre, Bobby Lashley, and Baron Corbin. Fine. It's kind of the swan song for Dean Ambrose, as we all know he's leaving at the end of April. I'm fine with it. Okay. Fine. I think that ultimately it's going to be that match is going to be a storyline branching off for Roman Reigns heading into WrestleMania, whether it's one-on-one with Baron Corbin, one-on-one with Drew McIntyre. In some capacity, I think Roman Reigns that's what the goal is for this match. All right. Some other notes here. And this is just I don't know. This is something that is a quick note on WWE in general. And boy, have I got a lot of topics here. I'm trying to pick and choose here. Why does every match have to have the same format? And by the way, guys, I'll get to the predictions in just a moment. Why does WWE have to have the same format of every match? Think about this. And for those of you that have been watching long, maybe you don't notice this, but every match has to have the same kind of format. And what do I mean by that? I mean, it's you beat on me, I beat on you, you beat on me, I beat on you, and then there's a finish. In real life, if you're fighting someone in real life, or just watch UFC, is that how it goes in UFC? Do the competitors is it always 50-50? No. And I understand WWE is not supposed to be UFC. And I understand their entertainment. And I get that most matches that you watch shouldn't be lopsided. However, it is just the WWE style of you beat on me, I beat on you, you beat on me, I beat on you, and then there's the finish. You just inevitably know that whether the babyface is beating the heel down or the heel is beating the babyface down, you know that it's going to be reversed in some capacity in the near future. Maybe in a minute, 30 seconds. I mean, you just know that it's going to change hand. The tables will get turned several times. And I understand, well, that's the drama. You don't know how it's going to end. But here's the problem with all this. Everybody feels like they're on a level playing field. Everyone feels horizontal, like anyone could beat anyone on any given night. That does not create stars. That creates everyone being on the same plane. And I don't want that. Why do matches always have to be 50-50? And am I talking exactly 50-50? No. But they feel like it is. You just know that everyone's going to get their stuff in. It's going to go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But why? Why does it have to do that? Why can't we get matches on a weekly basis that feel more real? Like, it doesn't always have to be that format, but it is. It's just a cancer of a format because it's very predictable. Like going to a commercial break during a match. Well, how do you know the match isn't going to end during the commercial break? It never, ever, ever does. Ever. But if you're going to simulate sport, odds are it's going to happen at some point during the commercial break. And there's been thousands of commercial breaks, and never has a match ended during a commercial break. Ever. So things like that. There's just every match has the same format. It's and I'm not talking about the same moves. I'm not talking about exactly 50-50. It's not about the moves. It's about offense and defense. Does every single football game end 27-26? Does every baseball game end 10-9? No. Every match doesn't have to come down to the game 7. Every match does not have to come down to game 7, and it always has to feel like it does. And everybody is talking. This is the new catchphrase or corporate speak. Oh well, Finn Balor took Brock Lesnar to the limit, or I don't know. Charlotte took Ronda Rousey to the limit. Why does it always have to go to the limit? Why can't it just be sometimes what would happen in real life? I mean, because sometimes it's when that doesn't happen, and it's going to be 50-50. It takes me out of the moment, and my suspended disbelief is gone. So just a quick critique on literally 20 years of seeing this. I on a week in, week out basis. Think about it. You guys know I'm right here. Just think about that. Every match you see in WWE, every match in 2019, and probably for most of your memory, no matter how long you've been a fan, seems to have the same format of offense and defense. It's predictable in that way, and I don't think it should be. If you're going to simulate sport, and I understand there's squash matches when you're first getting in, like Braun Strowman was destroying, the local wrestlers and undercard guys. I'm not talking about that. All right. So, guys, let's get to the predictions, and then I'm going to wrap up the show. And, boy, have I got a lot of... some of these bullet points I didn't even hit. It's just... It would be a 4-hour show. As much as you guys love to hear me, I simply don't have the time for this show. But there are some good topics for down the line. I'll just tell you that. And I'm not trying to sell you the show. It's just... I'm anxious to get to them, but they are more of the what-if segments and the wrestling nostalgia segments, which I am going to, again, trying to be doing on a weekly basis. My family, as I said, you guys may or may not know about my family issues going on, and family health issues more specifically, but they seem to be been resolved, at least for the moment, and we'll continue to hope that trend continues. So that's mainly the reason why I haven't been getting the what-if segments and the wrestling nostalgia segments in as often as I'd like. But anyway, all right. So let's get into the predictions for Fastlane. Let's get right to it. Let's go with the Shield versus Corbin and his team of Lashley and Drew McIntyre. Shield wins here. I think Shield wins, but it is a setup for Roman Reigns at WrestleMania in some capacity. I think it's going to be maybe Drew McIntyre versus Roman Reigns. Could be. Or Lashley versus Reigns, as he just dropped the Intercontinental Championship to Finn Balor. So that's my prediction. There's just no need for Dean to turn heel here. Dean's on his way out. It just didn't make sense. He's gone. I mean, why create a storyline that is not going to have a resolution? I mean, these guys have broken up and got back together, twice in the last... Well, actually, no. Probably like 3 or 4 times when you look at all of the incantations of the Shield over the last few years. But anyway, so I think that's what it is. Shield wins, but it's a setup for Roman Reigns in some capacity towards WrestleMania, whether it's Lashley or Drew McIntyre. Those are my likely candidates. And the Women's Championship, which is no longer the Women's Championship, of Becky versus Charlotte. Charlotte will lose, whether it's hook, crook, disqualification. Ronda will show up. I think these three will go at it. I don't think there's any question about it that Ronda will show up, get booed out of the building, and we will all move on with our lives into the triple threat and the just loathed triple threat and again, I know loathe is a strong word, but it's just my disappointment, really, of this triple threat at WrestleMania. And you know what? You people, you're going to eat your words. It's going to be a great match. Again, folks, I'm willing to sacrifice quality match for a better story, because the better story always trumps a better match, in my opinion. All right. Now we have Daniel Bryan versus Kevin Owens. Again, I haven't seen SmackDown Live yet this week, obviously, because it doesn't air for another 6 minutes. But I think that Daniel Bryan comes out champion. I don't know what Kevin Owens is doing here. I don't know if he's fish or foul, heel or babyface. I don't know where they're going with it. Maybe they don't know. Maybe they're waiting for the audience to react and direct them where they're going to go with it. But I think ultimately Daniel Bryan keeps the belt. And it's ultimately Kofi Kingston versus Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania. I think that's where they go with it. And maybe Kofi captures it at WrestleMania. We're getting 2 steps ahead, but I think it's going to be a good match. I think ultimately it's going to be Daniel Bryan coming out with the championship, and we move on to Kofi Kingston versus Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania. Hopefully one-on-one, but Lord knows that WWE has some kind of fetish with multi-person matches, whether it's men or women. So, all right. And then we have the SmackDown Women's Championship with Asuka, and she is defending against Mandy Rose. This is somewhat of another slam dunk. I'm sorry. This pay-per-view is not going to really shift a whole lot of things. It's just more of another stop to WrestleMania. Luckily, the final stop to WrestleMania. Asuka has to win this. I mean, could Mandy win? Yeah, but she hasn't been here that long. It's WrestleMania. The fans want Asuka as champion. And could she chase heading into WrestleMania? She could. And Asuka has all but forgotten. She wasn't even on TV for 3 weeks. I don't think they knew what to do with her. And now you have Mandy Rose challenging her for the Women's Championship. Obviously, there's possible interference. But ultimately, I think Asuka comes out on top, and she heads into WrestleMania, and likely a women's multi-person championship match. I think they'll go there. I really do. And the sad part is you'll have 2 women's matches that are not one-on-one. And that's just, it's a shame. All main events should be one-on-one, in my opinion. All right. So before I go on another rant, which I feel coming, I'm going to take a breath and move on here to the next match, which is the Usos versus Shane and Miz, with the Miz's dad at ringside. This, to me, again, I really believe that it will be the Miz turning on Shane. You'll have the Miz's dad cost Shane the match. The Miz and his dad end up hugging, and ultimately you will have a heel turn, and it ends up being the Miz versus Shane at WrestleMania. And I'm fine with that. Some believe that it could be Shane turning heel. I don't think so. As much as I want to see Shane turn heel, I don't want to see another heel McMahon right now. Okay, I am firmly in the camp of the Miz turning heel with the help of his dad, and the Usos retain the championship, the tag team championships, and we get a setup for WrestleMania, which is all Fastlane is. This is not about conclusions. This is about progression towards WrestleMania, and it is going to be Shane versus the Miz at WrestleMania, with the Miz turning heel here. I know that's a very popular prediction. It's not very interesting. It's somewhat predictable to fans, but it's the right call. Just because it's predictable does not mean it's not the right call. Unpredictability, for the sake of unpredictability, when it's not the right thing to do, is very nearsighted. It's very just counterproductive, and you're going to end up shooting yourself in the foot ultimately. So, yes, really, and there's only 5 matches. This is going to be, what that tells me is, number one, yay, it's not going to be a 4-hour pay-per-view. Number two, that these matches are going to be very long. And I'm fine with that. I'd rather have fewer matches that are longer than more matches that are shorter, because it doesn't give me time to digest what's going on. It doesn't give the time for the audience in attendance to digest what's going on. Fewer stories means less thinking as a fan. And I mean that in a respectful way, because when you're watching entertainment, you don't want to have to think too much. I mean, that's what we watch entertainment for, is to be entertained and not have to, reinvent the wheel and get intricate with stories and have to remember things really difficult to remember, and there's too much going on. I like fewer things that are more drawn out, that tell a better story, and it gives matches time to breathe. It means the pace of the match is slower, which people may not like in today's gotta have it now, extremely short attention span society. But I am, I guess, more old school at 34 years old. Boy, I'm using the term old school at 34. Man. But I'm of the belief that a better story is told when more time is given. Now, does that mean unlimited time? No, there is obviously the law of diminishing returns applies here, and you don't want a match to go 30 minutes just to go 30 minutes because we need to stretch time out. I mean, we see that on Monday Night Raw on a weekly basis of the 3-hour format. But what I mean is, if you need time to tell the story and you have a very specific time in mind that you think would be ideal for this match, whatever match you're in, then I would say this is a good time to do it at Fastlane. And I think it'll be, you'll see probably a couple 20-plus minute matches, and I'm all for it. I think that's a better way to tell stories. Okay, well, that's all the time I got for you guys today, and hopefully you enjoyed the show. I'll be back later this week with a what if and or maybe both, the wrestling nostalgia segment of the show, which I'm really excited about. And if you guys didn't listen, last week I talked about when Stone Cold returned to save the WWF back in 2001, when Vince McMahon wanted the old Stone Cold. Check that out. I really think you'll enjoy that. And if you haven't seen it, by God, go check it out on YouTube or WWE Network. It's one of the coolest moments. A lot of more Stone Cold moments coming up. As you guys know, he is my favorite of all time. So, all right, with all being said, thank you guys for listening. As always, I'll talk to you next time.